All right, this should be it. Okay, we're live. We did it.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Okay, well, I love the one benefit of all the stuff that we're going through is the fact that it forces us to learn some new things. And you and I have been working on this since last week.
It's all good.
And it's really good with the topic of stress. This could be very stressful if we let it, right?
Yes.
So everybody, today I have Dr. Valerie Ripperger of Hope Wellness Centers. She's the owner of Hope Wellness in Geneva. And she is a naturopathic doctor, which is something I spent a little time researching. I think it's, fascinating. And I think especially right now with all the stress that everybody's under, heightened anxiety, and very difficult to go see just your regular doctor, this is an opportunity to maybe learn a little bit more on caring for yourself. So can you start with just kind of describing what your practice is and what a naturopathic doctor does?
Absolutely. So a naturopathic doctor, we go to an accredited medical school, the same as medical doctors do, take basic sciences boards, same as what medical doctors do. However, we spend the majority of our education focusing on nutrition and mind, body, spirit connection with an individual using more natural modalities. Now, that might be nutritional counseling, it could be using homeopathy. We do energy work. We focus on you as an entire person. I tell people I'm your private investigator for your health. So I try to figure out the root cause and support that in a more holistic and natural way.
Good.
And yeah. And right now, obviously supporting my patients, I'm doing a lot of naturopathic counseling and I do a lot of telehealth. I've got a HIPAA protected video call that I'm doing right now with my patients. So that's been pretty helpful now.
So do you do like an initial kind of an interview assessment and then you decide on what kind of a plan you're going to work with somebody? Like, do you talk once a week, once a month, or how does that usually work?
So sometimes it depends on the person. I might do a free phone meet and greet. So for 15 minutes, we'll chat on the phone. They'll give me an idea of what's going on that they want to focus on. And then I'll tell them kind of the process and how that works. So I'll send them an online intake form that they'll complete. And once I've had an opportunity to review that, then I will set up a follow-up phone call, usually about 90 minutes, where I'll continue to ask questions and fill in the blanks, and then they can perhaps provide more information for me. And then I'll put together a return to wellness plan. I'm not just focusing on whatever their chief complaint is. I focus on them as an entire person. So I'm going to help them with sleep. If they have stress and anxiety, we're going to focus on why they have that. Nutrition, hydration, exercise, everything. I'm going to support them as an entire person. And then I will send them, if necessary, if they need additional supplementation. I have an online pharmacy that I send them an email. They just click on that and then they put in their payment information. It's drop shipped to their house, usually in 2 to 3 days. I check in with them about 48 hours after they've started the supplements. And then I usually like to do, for probably the first 3 months, maybe check in at least, once every 3 to 4 weeks to make sure that if they have any questions. Of course, they're encouraged to call me or schedule another appointment if something, of immediate nature comes up that we need to go over.
I was also reading you do massage therapy.
Yeah, I've been a massage therapist for, I think, over 25 years. Yeah, so I do a lot of, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you look too young.
Oh, you're sweet. No, so I've done that a long time. So I do a lot of physical medicine, and I've got a cold laser that works great on animals and on people for musculoskeletal pain and a lot of neurological conditions too.
Wow. Okay. So, you talked about stress management
Mhm.
and, clearly right now, and you were talking about sleep. And I know at least one person that's had a lot of trouble with sleep going through the current circumstances. And I'm sure it's just a lot of worry, a lot of what if, and how long is this going to last? And what if it lasts a lot longer? And then of course there's a lot of anxiety associated with that. And
Right.
what would be maybe some recommendations you could make now, that just like some general things? Obviously you're not speaking to each person individually, but some general things that might be really good for us to do right now,
Mhm.
not only for people who currently aren't working, they've been furloughed or laid off, or
Right.
also people who are trying to work from home. That's a whole new thing.
Yeah, this has been a definite adjustment and stress on various different levels, whether it's now that we're socially isolated or we're going through some sort of a financial hardship. So, some of the first things that I tell people is let's focus on what we can control amongst the walls of our home, right? And that's the health and the happiness of everyone that's in your home. We can't control what's going on outside. So, I usually lead people through the day. First thing when I wake up, I tell people offer three things of gratitude. I want them to say and focus on the three things that you're grateful for. So I'm grateful for the healthcare practitioners that are on the front lines keeping us safe and healthy, and to keep them safe and healthy. I'm grateful for the mail delivery system so that it keeps us at home, so that we're able to get, whatever we need to order from the mail, supplements for my patients. And I'm grateful for the people that are working at the grocery store so we can get food to nourish our bodies. So focus on more optimistic things. Don't scroll through social media and listen to the news right off the bat, because that sets your intentions for the day. I tell people at noon, check in with the news. I'm not telling people to, isolate themselves from the news, but don't cite your sources. Be careful on the sources that you're getting your information from. Social media is horrible. They feed off of negativity. We can't help and we can't look away from a train wreck. So everybody keeps clicking on this stuff on social media and all this fake news. So then it continues to feed those algorithms, and they keep feeding that and posting that stuff. So I encourage people not to watch that. Go outside, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D3, stay within that 6 feet, social distancing, and get the vitamin D3, get some exercise. When you're stressed and you're anxious, that actually suppresses, it's called your lymphocytes, which are white blood cells that can't fight off infections. And when you get stressed, your body produces a hormone called cortisol, which your adrenals pump out. And that will also suppress your immune system. So start doing meditations. There are lots of programs out there that are available for free that people can work out in their homes. I know people that are doing free yoga. Meditation is great, but if you also eat the right foods, that's going to help to contribute to calming your stress and anxiety. High sugar content, processed foods, those things are contributing to a lot of stress as well, and depression, and so does dairy, because our body has a tough time processing that. And right now, that same enzyme that's available to digest the dairy, we need that to break up the mucus. So you want to try to eliminate those foods, so then that way it makes you healthy. Also, sleep. So, sleep, if you're not getting sleep, will exacerbate those symptoms. And if you're stressed, you can't sleep. So, whether you have to take a sleepy time tea or a chamomile tea, those calming herbs and a warm teas are very soothing. And again, end the day with gratitude. Talk about the things that you're grateful for, wipe out all of that noise, all of the clutter that we can't control, and wipe that out, and listen to some calming apps. There's some amazing calming apps there. So then that way it'll help you to sleep better. Blackout curtains are awesome. And you also
Mm,
want to try to stay off of any screen time, because the blue light that is emitted from these screens basically affect, it's called your circadian rhythms, which is your ability to be able to sleep. So if you can basically start to disconnect about an hour before you know you want to sleep, it's going to make your sleeping ritual a lot easier.
I find it interesting you mentioned, just check in with the news at noon. And, for us, our routine is just always, we watch 10 o'clock news. We watch it usually until the weather forecast, and then we go to sleep. Even if we were into sports, there's nothing to watch there right now. But
Right.
um, what I was doing was I was first thing in the morning, I wanted to see the news to see, what happened overnight, like what are the new developments? And none of them have really been good. And
Right.
then I was watching the 2:30, our governor's report,
Mhm.
and then the world news at 5:30. And then we were, putting it on before we went to bed. And before I know it, we were watching the news 4 times a day in
Yeah.
between everything, work a little bit. Oh, I got to hurry up and finish this up because I want to go see the news. And
Hmm.
I think for us too, we're at a point that, everybody knows we're in this for a while. So the daily news really is not going to make that much of a difference. But man, watching that news right before you go to bed currently has got to be one of the worst things. It's like drinking a cup of coffee before you're going to go to bed.
Right. 100% agreed. And, you know, you can watch it a couple times throughout the day. I don't encourage my patients to do it right off the bat, because if you look at that first thing in the morning, that sets your intentions for the day. I don't want anybody else to control how I should be feeling. So that's why I try to take some time and offer gratitude and things, focus on the things that I'm grateful for. And for me to personally set out my intentions for the day, I don't want anybody else trying to control and tell me and adding more anxiety to what's already, possibly existing. So try to limit your time that you are reaching out on the news. Noon and maybe 5 o'clock is okay. That way you have, the rest of the evening to decompress. But yes, you hit the nose right on the head. Try not to watch that right before you go to bed.
Yeah. So another thing unrelated to, current events is we were talking about the impact that health and nutrition, stress and nutrition really have an impact on, like you can end up with chronic conditions as a result of these. And so I was looking on your website, and I mean, you had a huge list of things that could be affected, but there were a few on there that I hadn't realized, were directly stress or maybe eating or, so I thought if you could tell us 3 conditions that people may have, maybe they never really considered making some personal changes that would have an impact, as opposed to just trying to find some quick solution that, comes from the pharmacy or, that sort of thing.
Right. So, I mean, anxiety, when you have the heart palpitations, that could be a multitude of things. You could have adrenal fatigue, which is this little organ that sits on top of your kidneys that pumps out that cortisol, which suppresses your immune system, which can give you those heart palpitations. But the heart palpitations, people think, oh my goodness, I'm having a heart attack. So it's difficult for them to differentiate between what's really going on. And it depends on how severe that they are. Other things that can be because of heart palpitations, you could have a thyroid condition, hyperthyroidism. And there is a condition, it's an autoimmune disease, which is Graves'. And so those actually can be created because of stress, but our body has the ability to make ourselves sick, but we also have this beautiful ability for our body to heal ourselves. And I mean, that's how we were generations ago, hundreds of years ago, before we started with this whole pharmaceutical industry. Now, don't get me wrong. I truly believe that there's a place for everybody, but sometimes, there is for me. If there's a way for me to use a natural remedy, I want to be able to do that. So I think that's a huge one. Irritable bowel conditions. If people are having, you know, abdominal discomfort, if they're having, you know, maybe not to be graphic, but diarrhea, gas, if they have continued reactions because of eating certain foods, that can be eliminated by just the process of eliminating certain foods and healing the gut. So when you heal the gut, there's these gap junctions, right? And when they are not tightly knit together like this, they leak. And that systemic inflammation goes throughout your body, and it can contribute to actually more anxiety and stress because your brain and your gut are inversely related. It can contribute to autoimmune diseases. It can contribute to, you know, rheumatoid arthritis, different and various conditions. And so we have to, you know, nourish your gut and seal those tight junctions so there's no longer anything that's seeping through. And you need to do that by, it depends, each person is different, but good pre and probiotics and various different supplementations and food, again, educating on food eliminations. Medical doctors, they have a place, and I'm so grateful that we have them right now, but sometimes there's some conditions where it's just not, it's not enough. And they're only taught about 6 hours, if even that, of nutrition in their education. But that's the vast majority of our education is nutrition. Let's see, a third one. Well, and I think chronic pain actually ties in with all three of those. So if you have chronic pain, you could have a leaky gut, systemic inflammation. And then if you have that, it can contribute to, again, depression, stress, and anxiety. So why are you having the chronic pain? Is there an emotional tie that's to that? Because unfortunately, there usually is. And that's a lot of what I do too, is I focus on the emotional health of the person, because when we're sick, it could potentially be tied to a specific event that occurred in their life. So I try to help work them through that so that we can, again, that's identifying the root cause so that we can, it's layers. It's not a quick fix. It's a journey that we have to basically walk through together. But identifying that root cause, I think, is the biggest, one of the biggest components of that.
Well, I completely agree with all the things you're saying. I've had personal experience with, in my 30s, was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and, you know, was prescribed a bunch of medications, and then found another doctor who forced me to take a real close look at my eating and my stress and all of that. And, you know, he said to me, well, here is the list of side effects of all the medications that you're taking. And here is the list of side effects, which were 0, of changing your diet. And
right.
I didn't want to do it. It to me at the time was just like too much. But, you know, right now, if anybody does need to take a look at that, we all have a little more time on our hands. This is the opportunity to do it. And you can buy your healthy foods online. We're getting our groceries delivered now, you know, until if we feel it's safe to go back in the grocery store. And it was life-changing for me. I got rid of all of my medications, and I'm glad that I went ahead and did as I was told, and I'm living proof. I mean, I had terrible pain. I was getting hypnotized for pain. It was so bad. So I'm a firm believer in what you're talking about. And I hope, you know, more people will reach out and take advantage of your wisdom and your background and your ability to do this with people through a telehealth meeting, which is fantastic. And I'm going to be posting Valerie's website information. Also, I know you have a Facebook page. We'll be able to post some information there. And if any of you have questions about getting connected, reach out to me, or you can reach out to Valerie directly. And I thank you for your time today. And hopefully this provided some really good insight for some people out there that I know are struggling.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.